Welcome to the Warrior Gamer Headquarters podcast. Lieutenant Colonel Ken Crigliano, your co-host.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Redd. I'm a award-winning filmmaker, and right now I've been working on a video game since COVID kind of locked everything down in the film industry. So I was very thankful that everybody invited me on to Warrior Gamer to have the opportunity to talk about it to a larger audience.
Cool. We are supremely excited to have you because this is a first that I think anyone who's watching will probably never have experienced this. They're always used to people coming on as guests when they're done, right? Hey, this is my book. Here's my URL, Amazon shortened link. I'm going to get a kickback. I want you to buy my book, blah, blah, blah. Or we deployed this game and we want you to join and blah, blah, blah. But you haven't yet built the game, correct?
Yeah, it's literally the what I've made so far is like a prototype stage. So it's more of just like it's playable, it's testable, but it is a proof of concept. It's not at all like supposed to be a finished product yet.
And that's cool because if you remember in a previous episode, which I'll have in the show notes, we had the folks from Or Systems who deploying with them front lines, and they were in the process of just tweaking the bugs. And because of our episode, I'm in the game. You can buy me my skin and wear me around and get shot up because I'm not that great in that game. But now, if folks are interested in contributing to the game, they now have that opportunity to actually help guide the development, right? And deployment,
Mhm.
marketing, right?
Very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
I saw that video that you sent me as well, which was amazing.
Yeah, cool. So, Bilal, as the resident gaming expert and the guy with the most amount of hours in front of the screen, please interrogate our guest on what it is he's actually building.
Well, most amount of hours, is that an honor or is that something to be concerned about? That's the first question. But okay, yeah, no. So creating a game, big, long process. I mean, as with anything, video games are no joke. They take hundreds, now thousands of people, lots of investors, lots of going back to the drawing board. So I can imagine that, you being in this early stage and then coming to us and talking about it means like, in my opinion, I think you already have like a really good idea and you really want to get it out there. So what is this idea? Like, well, what are you doing here?
So I'm creating a 2D anime fighting game, similar to the kind of mechanics that you would get from Tekken or not Tekken, but Street Fighter or Guilty Gear, something that is 2D. There's not a whole lot of anime fighters that are 2D, except for I think maybe Dragon Ball Fighters is like kind of ruling over, the FGC right now. But it's an untapped market, and with anime being as popular as it is these days, and then the fighting game community growing more and more every year, I figured that since I have an idea for a story that I'm not capable of illustrating because I'm just not an illustrator, I'm not an animator, I figured a game would be the easiest way to ease people into it.
But definitely. So now we're speaking my language here because I'm not the biggest fighting game player. I have played Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter. My favorite would be Soul Calibur 6, which unfortunately, due to poor netcode, isn't really doing so hot. I still really love that game. I mean, weapons-based fighters is super awesome. My roommates and I, we'd like stay up to like 3 a.m. playing it and just messing around. Fighting games are great. I mean, they really bring the raw competitiveness out of you, and it's just you and the other person. I mean,
Oh
it
yeah.
is so organic. And like I have Street Fighter 6 and I'm like trying to learn that right now. Maining Kimberly, she's really cool.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
you're a
yeah, yeah.
ninja
So
player.
yeah. So but I'm looking at I don't have her DLC, but AKI or Aki, however you pronounce it.
Hockey.
She
Mhm.
looks so cool. She looks so cool. And
Oh yeah.
so yeah, no. So now we're looking at two different worlds. Like we're having fighting game, which is like immersive, it's raw, and then you have anime, which is fantasy, adventure. All right. So let's kind of break it down like one by one. I mean, let's start with the anime since that tends to be most well known, most understood. I mean, how'd you get into anime? What are your favorite animes? What do you like about it?
So I got into anime when I was 6 years old. my brother was really big into anime, and on my mom's side of the family, we're all just a bunch of artists. So my brother was really into anime, and he got me into it, starting with Dragon Ball Z. I feel like that's a lot of kids' first animes, was
Mhm.
Dragon Ball Z. And I started just drawing from there, and that's when I started getting into anime art style and learning all of that. But when I was a kid, anime was nerdy, and you were picked on for liking anime, so I always kept that in the vault, that I was a big anime guy, always watching that stuff. I wasn't one of the kids who watched Sports Center. I was one of the kids who watched anime. But time went on, and I'd say that my favorite anime, Dragon Ball Z was how I started, but I started going back further and got into Inuyasha, and then I've been into Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen, Attack on Titan, of course.
That's
Classics.
fantastic. I'm a huge anime fan. I just got back from Mexico City and you can't see it, but I was carrying a Naruto bag
Yeah, I
with
see
me,
that.
and
Mhm.
everybody, almost every other person had some sort of anime t-shirt on. And it was just so much fun having it, like you said, come out of the closet. There was so many years where, people were kind of quiet about their love of anime. I'm
Mhm.
curious as to how you're blending the fighting games with the IP, and which ones are you using, and how are you navigating that world?
How I'm blending the anime with like the traditional fighting game styles, is that what
Mhm.
you mean?
Yep.
So when I during COVID, since no one had anything to do, I came from a world of filmmaking, and that whole thing kind of got shut down. And since I always had the idea for an anime that I wasn't able to animate, I was like, how about if I start off the humble beginnings the way that Street Fighter did? And there was just Ken and Ryu, and they were just two guys fighting, and everyone wanted to know what they were fighting about. And then that's how the story built. So I was like, this is what I could do. And since it's becoming more popular anime, especially since like the hip hop world is embracing anime so much, and it's just becoming like anime shows are taking over TV now. So I was like, this is like the perfect opportunity to get in with the FGC growing. So the way that I decided to blend it was putting in quite literally thousands of hours of watching almost every single competitive fighting game that is out there, watching all the tournaments, all the Evos, East Coast Showdowns, everything that I could watch that would let me know what fighting gamers like and don't like in a fighting game amongst all the different types and all the different elements, and then looking at what people like and don't like about anime. And then I just found a way to meld those together and have it where now you have people who like anime and like fighting games, or people who just like anime and want to watch somebody play the game because they get that excitement that they get out of watching an anime fight, or you have fighting gamers who can play that game and get the excitement and the complexity that they would get from a fighting game. So I was just able to mix it that way by just thinking of which two elements cross over.
So in your research, what did
Awesome.
you find that was like that people really liked about animes, likes and dislikes about animes, and likes and dislikes about fighting games? Like, what did you notice?
Okay, so definitely with fighting games, I noticed, I'd say three core things that I noticed about fighting games that everybody liked. One, everybody cared about complexity as far as like difficulty. So some people like to be able to just mash buttons and have cool things happen, and other people want to be able to press a certain sequence of buttons and do a certain sequence of inputs and then have something cool happen. There's like the two different kinds of people. There's people who just play for fun and people who play competitively. So I had to take that into account when making this game, this prototype, because I'm limited since I'm not a game developer. So I'm limited with what I can do. And then so I had to take that into account. I had to take into account people care a lot about movement, and they care a lot about how fast characters are, how slow they are, how they feel when you're using them. So I had to take that into account. And then the last thing I had to take into account was, I guess, for lack of better words, replay value. Are there a lot of
Mhm.
options? Are you able to do something this round and then next round try something completely different? And can you be put like can your back be put to a wall to the point where you have to use all of these different options to problem solve. Those are the three things that I noticed out of every single fighting game. And then with anime, I just noticed that it was cool attacks, pretty much just something that looks cool, something that is fast paced, and then something that gets you on the edge of your seat. Like those ones were the easiest ones to find. Everybody with anime is kind of in the same realm. You're on the edge of your seat, everything is moving super quickly, and everything looks really cool while it's happening.
This sounds super exciting. Yeah, because
So
yeah.
are you
Oh, go
using
ahead.
IP like that's like are you using Jujutsu Kaisen, Naruto, Death Note? Like are you making those connections to Studio Mappa and figuring out how to use their IP, or are you creating your own anime like characters?
So I'm making my own characters. They're all designed from an anime that I came up with myself back in 2016. The characters have always been developing from when I was a kid. I actually went back and I found a bunch of old notebooks that I had drawn, and it's funny how I actually noticed that the characters that I have today were the same characters from when I was a kid, just adapted as my art style changed. The idea never changed, and that's kind of what drove the passion for me to do this, because I was like, it's literally always been the same. The idea has never faltered, and it just changed with my art style. So I used Jujutsu Kaisen and Naruto and these anime like that to give me more of an idea for how good anime are structured, not exactly how the characters look.
Fantastic. You're making me want to play your game.
I really want to play this game, man.
Yeah, I asked him to do this, I don't know, like a month ago, right? And I've had to keep this secret because I know that Bilal's very excited about developmental games, and April is the biggest anime maniac on the planet, and I was like, I gotta keep this secret. So
Oh my gosh, so exciting.
Yeah.
I'm super excited, and I'm curious, April, if you're at the Illinois Institute of Technology and you are head of what?
Esports and digital arts.
That's right. So I'm
And we,
kind of curious if anyone would be interested in working with this young gentleman.
oh my gosh, I bet we can find some really cool connections. That's what I just popped in the chat. Wicked Saints Studios, they just got a boatload of money for their game, and they're also indie developers. They're really doing some amazing work. There's a wonderful, wonderful community in Chicago around indie game developers. I'm not sure where you're based, but a trip to Chicago will make it worth your time.
Yeah, I'm in
And
Virginia,
we
and
just
it
started
definitely would.
our game design and interactive media program at Illinois Tech. So that's a first for us. We got a partnership with Columbia College. They teach Unreal Engine. They're an Unreal Center of Excellence. So we've got some really cool resources that I'm excited about. But
Okay.
the fact that, and we just did a partnership event with Microsoft that showcased a bunch of indie game designers' work. So I'm happy to connect you to some folks out here and see if I can get you some resources. So I absolutely love supporting indie games, especially since, like Ken said, you're doing anime.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, I knew
Redd,
it's kind of. Oh, yes, sir.
are you able to pull up any audio visual or anything like that to kind of tease us? I mean, I know you
Yeah.
have intellectual property protection, but
Yeah,
I'm
let me go ahead
curious.
and share the screen. Should be able to get this going. I have a short little 90-second video.
Do you love anime? Yes.
Yes, yes, I do.
Currently watching Monsters. Anybody seen that?
What are you watching, Bilal?
Monster.
Oh,
Highly recommend.
nice.
Very, very interesting. Yeah. About halfway through it.
I had to take a break, like Ken said. I was like, oh, all right, you. This is darn near addictive. Oh, very cool.
Wow, it's almost like Simpson style animation. That's actually kind of cool. I kind of like that, man.
Funny you should mention The Simpsons, Ken. So on their Halloween special for episode 34, The Simpsons did an anime parody of an anime called Death Note.
Wow.
Did they?
Yeah.
I'm actually on a Simpsons episode.
Are you?
Yeah, not a lot of people know that. They did a parody of me.
Why? Which one?
Ah,
That's so
and the
exciting.
combos are intuitive, and not no crazy quarter circles or
Look at
full circle Zangief kind of combos. Heck no. Yeah, those are too difficult. These make sense.
Nice. So what did you use to create this? Did you use what's your technical choices here? Are you using
he's
any?
deep into the game. He's deep
Yeah,
into
he's
it
deep
right now,
into the
folks.
game.
Red, can you hear us? Earth.
Earth the Red. Maybe there was sound on his end.
Oh, maybe. Red,
Not here.
did you hear
Oh,
us?
I heard y'all a little bit.
Oh, we
okay.
were going crazy. April, go ahead. Summarize what we were.
Yeah. So what did you use to build this out? Did you do a storyboard with a certain software and then did you switch to another software package to build it out? Well, how did you create this?
So I used something called Mugen, old school fighting game, software that allows people to customize the arcade games by, putting like Ryu fighting against Spider-Man. You could like use that and tweak the code. So I used that and I used Adobe to make these animations, and then I just kind of like overwrit a lot of the code, and I just started making it my own thing to the best of my ability with the limitations of Mugen and then the limitations of myself, since like I said, I'm not an animator, I'm not a game developer, but this is like 3 years of just trial and error to get to the point that I'm at now.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a really interesting because the anime community at large, very passionate, right? Like things a certain way. And fighting game community, very passionate, like things a certain way. So you have like this almost, heavy weight on your shoulders. Like you got to get this done right. But it seems like you're pretty confident, and I like what I'm seeing so far. So, I mean, how are you feeling kind of going forward? You feeling pretty optimistic?
I am feeling really optimistic about it because I have like my following is growing every day. Starting small but getting bigger. And the one thing that a lot of people seem to like about the game so far, just from watching it, because they can't play it just yet, what they like about watching it is that they say that it looks like it feels good to play, which is a huge compliment to me personally because I've always been the type of person who grew up and I enjoyed watching people play video games, which a lot of people thought was weird at first. That I enjoyed watching. I watched my brother play, and I used to love watching other people who were really good play fighting games. And like I said, that seemed weird until the FGC started growing more and more, and everyone enjoys watching competitive like fighting. So the game was made around the idea that people can play it and have a good time, or people can watch it and have a good time, and specifically catering to the watchers because I feel like that's what grows the biggest audience is people who enjoy watching this stuff go down. So I am really confident about it because I have a lot of support on both sides. I have people who want to see more footage, and then I have people who really want to get their hands on it. So I think that I'm really starting to bridge that gap.
Good. I am so happy you said that because that was going to be my next comment on Red. Can you tell us about the very interesting aspect that you're approaching, this from a viewer perspective? And one of the things that we've done here in the show is educate people on how big esports is in gaming and how many people are watching. And I don't remember the statistics, but I mean, like a huge percentage of the biggest YouTube channels are watching people game. watching some of the best people. And April and Bilal and I have talked with almost every single guest who's come on here about how elite these athletes are. I mean, how amazing, incredible they are at what they do, and comparing that to people in physical sports is just, you just can't do it. I mean, you can see all my stuff is from physical sports. So I know I come from that background, and I love that you're going, hey, this game has got to be awesome to watch. So can you just talk a little bit more about kind of like your approach to that, and how this is just going to be perfect for right now and what's happening in the industry?
Yeah, so it's definitely catering more to the watchers. It's also going to cater to the players as well. I made sure of that. So for the people playing it, the one thing that they're going to get is one thing that a lot of fighting gamers really crave, and that is knowing that their characters are going to play different and they're going to feel different than the other characters. So they want to find a character to love. They want to find a character that feels good to them. And each character feels so drastically different that you have one character that feels very fast and is almost hard to control unless you get a little bit of discipline, because they can just zip around the screen. And then you have a character that is slow and sluggish and feels heavy and packs a heavier punch, but is harder to get away from the fast people unless you practice. So that is something that is apparent to the player, that they can move one character and move another character, and then they can feel that difference, and it makes them want to get better. But then for the people watching, all they're going to be seeing is they're going to be seeing these two people who have mastered the character that they want to be good at, and they're going to see them throwing these throwing these heavy punches or these quick hits, getting out of like areas and teleporting back and forth in these sparks and these flashes and these flames and destruction, and they're just going to be at the edge of their seats wondering who's going to get the leg up. And I think that that is what's going to be one of the most compelling parts of it, is that it feels like an anime fight. When you're watching an anime, when you're watching one of your favorite anime characters fight against the big bad villain, the whole time you're sitting there hoping and praying that they're going to win, because they're constantly being met. Like it's that constant match back and forth. No character is too good for another character to beat with the right person behind the wheel. And that's always going to be compelling.
In other words, the game's balanced.
In other words, the game is balanced.
Yeah. That's what I like. Yeah.
No,
No.
that's kind of cool, man. Bilal, in April, I'm interested in your thoughts on that, because like I didn't think about that till now, because some games I don't like because I don't relate to the characters.
Mhm.
And in Civilization, I've been playing that for 30 years, and I only play as America. Like I never play as anybody else. I don't care. Like, no, I'm like, hell no. And so like I'm like, I kind of like that. Like I want one character that I can just master and crush. What do you think about that?
I mean, first of all, why are you only playing America? You could literally play as Egypt and then like build towards science, and
Can't do
if
it.
you like your science, man, I mean,
It's
hey,
immoral. It's immoral, Bilal.
no, it's not. But no, identification in video games is huge. A lot of people use video games as a way to establish some sense of control. And one way they do that is through their identity, right? There are certain games like Life is Strange, for example. If you've heard of that game, it's kind of like where you're making decisions, and that impacts the decisions that what happens with the characters, what happens with their mood, and what happens with the relationships that you create. And all of that happens within the control of the video game. That is entirely up to you and kind of how you navigate that. And then there are some games where kind of the game just presents something to you, kind of like an art piece, and then you kind of take it in and maybe internalize a part of yourself in it. Genshin Impact does this, right? So it's a RPG game, right? 7 continents, and each continent is based off a real world place, right? Like the very first region you enter, Mondstadt, it has references to Germany, like all over the place. And then Liyue is references to China. You got Sumeru referencing South Asia, Middle East. And they reference it in the clothing and the food and the music, in the names and everything. And people say, oh my gosh, like I feel represented in this game. I feel invested in this game because this is going beyond just, here's the character, go play it. This person has story, this has depth, this has character, and anime has all of those things. So putting that in with a fighting game, I mean, I love
I
it.
think fantastic. Like again, keeping in the fighting game genre, that's the genre that is dominant in the minority communities. And one of the games that I went to see Sonic Fox when he was in Chicago at the Injustice 2 championships. And it
Okay.
was fantastic just have that whole room full of people. And again, speaking of identity, like Bilal said, the characters they're playing are the characters that we know for growing up. They're the characters that we are attached to. Like if Batman gets hit, we're like, what happened? I think that's a big component, making people care about who they are looking at. So I think your filmmaking background could probably help with that. If you are doing like interlays and storytelling and things that you can watch before the game starts or at the end of the game, or you click on a path and learn more about the characters, learn the backstories. Just like in Injustice 2, you've got the characters developed already, but you also see like the dialogue of the individual stories that are connected to the individual fights. So I think I'm sure you probably studied that game if you did go study fighting games, but I think
Oh yeah.
that's a really good one for what you're doing.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely looked into that one. It's too fun, especially watching Sonic Fox. Like it's
Yeah.
too much fun.
Yeah, yeah, and the thing is too, Ken, these fighting games they run deep. Are a big reason why it's loved in the minority community. I mean, if you look at video games in the past, I mean, you're trying to buy a console and stuff, all this stuff was unaffordable. But what was affordable was going to the arcade, maybe putting like a dime in there, getting with all your buddies, 4 or 5 of your buddies, taking turns playing and just having that fun, watching
Mhm.
each other, playing against each other. And in the same way that, like, I mean, just this other day I was playing basketball. It's the same thing. I mean, you go there, you compete, you have fun, you watch other people, and then you play your own game. And the arcade had the similar like thing. It was a similar scene. And you look globally, especially like countries that may not have as much access to the same kind of technology we do. They may not be playing games like Overwatch, Halo, but they'll be playing games like Tekken. I mean, I'm Pakistani. If you look at the Pakistani Tekken scene, I mean, that thing is insane.
Yeah.
You got
Mhm.
Pakistanis fighting each other within that country that nobody knows. Nobody knows anything about it. Nobody knows they even had an esports scene. And the next thing you know, you got Arslan Ash just like taking the championship. So what's going on there? These games run deep. And so this is not just like any other game. I mean, when you're combining it with anime, I mean, I'm telling you, like this has power.
Awesome.
So are
Yeah,
will you have your anime released in sort of parallel to your game? So like what would be if somebody really just wants to learn more about the anime side that leads into the game? Are you gonna do that sort of approach as well?
so what I plan on doing when I take the game to the conventions for people to try it out live, what I plan on doing is having kind of like what I call it a messy manga because I'm not a manga artist, but I do plan on trying my best to like illustrate the story
Yeah.
and the characters in them and the lore so that people can read about these characters. It's not going to be super in depth or super detailed, but it's definitely going to get the point across so that people can get the idea for who these characters are and why they're fighting, why they have the moves and the techniques that they do, just to like get people interested in the heart of the story. And then, of course, playing the game to just get people um, enthralled in the action of it all.
So Ken is on the President's Council for AI, and there's an AI called Dolly that could really help with that. You make one basic picture, you upload the picture, and you ask it to recreate it in the form of Jujutsu Kaisen's anime. And you would be
Oh,
surprised at
Oh,
what kind of results you get. I just did a women's empowerment event, and I did all the work through AI through Dolly. Yeah, there we go.
Dolly too.
Is that Bilal doing that?
Nah, I think it's
Oh, that's
Ken.
Ken doing
I
Yeah.
that.
beat him
Thank
to the
you.
punch. I knew he was gonna do it. So
So you can say recreate in the form of an oil painting or recreate in the form of anime, and you can get some really amazing results. We're doing a tutoring service, and we just recreated our Illinois Tech logo in the form of anime. So you can definitely
wow.
do some really fun things with it.
Okay, that's cool. Definitely gonna look into that to help me out.
Yeah.
I do have a thought though. I have a thought here. Would you, this, you might shoot it down, but I'm curious to the demand. Say we bring this into the Discords, which we totally plan to do that, right? I'm gonna have Kyrie do it. We'll do it. I'm interested, and I would pay for this, is if I design a character to be put into your game. Like, would you, could you, should you see if there's people out there that might be like, well, you know what? Like, I would love to like contribute to this dude's game and like be part of something, it's a legacy. Like I would pay you. I would pay you to do, because my son is a wonderful artist. He's 6. I would totally, he just drew a fall guy today and like it's beautiful. I'm like, I wonder if, so what do you think? What do you think about something like that?
So I've had people ask me like, they're like, oh, put me in the game and put me in the game. And I definitely am not opposed to the idea, only because there are still some character slots that are filled with archetypes. I have the character archetypes, I have the character weapons and the move set down, but I don't have their design yet. So that's why like there are some spaces that are open to, if someone wanted me to design the character to look like them, I wouldn't be opposed, because the character doesn't have a face yet. The character doesn't have a name yet, doesn't have a look yet. So I wouldn't be opposed to it. My issue when it comes to that is that since I'm doing this all by myself as a prototype, because my goal is to hopefully, before I'm finished putting all these characters in here, because I already have about 15 characters planned out, just that I'm going to try and make on my own. And doing the whole 2D fighting thing frame by frame, this is taking me forever. So I'm hoping that it gets picked up by a development team who would be willing to help me go ahead and start making it legit, because I've been having to do the simple route. I'm using Mugen and doing the bare bones just to make it to where I have now. So if it gets to the point where I run out of characters to make and now I can start taking the designs from other people, like that'll be a very long time from now, since I'm doing it alone. But I wouldn't be opposed to having people do it. They would just be waiting a long time and I'd feel bad about that.
I feel like,
Unless you use AI or Wicked Saint Studios, or there's another game that you might want to take a look at for Ken's idea. It's called Axie Infinity. There's some really cool designers out of Vietnam that are, not, that don't cost a fortune, and they do what are called blockchain gaming, that you actually have a really incredible monetary base. So I would definitely look into that too.
is that this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Infinity. Axie.
You're beating me to it, Ken. You're beating me to it.
Well, you know that the WTF guys are doing the what's the character build? Something me. What do you do when you build your own? You can build yourself and your own characters. What's that service called? Oh man, I can't believe it.
Where you build yourself and your own characters?
Hold on. I gotta turn the
Is
game
it a digital twin?
on. Hold on. I'm turning it on.
Because there's a company, 3D, Dassault out of France. They just started, so they do digital twins for engineering purposes. So like they'll have digital versions of whole factories that are right in sync with the real factories. So you can tell when something's going wrong in the real factories.
I remember Ready Player One, or
Oh yeah.
what's it called?
Ready Player One? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where you make your own
Avatar?
player.
Yeah, you make an
Avatar.
avatar, yeah.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm pulling it up.
Where are
Kinda
you
like
going with this,
metaverse.
Ken?
Well, to help him out, man. To help him out. Like build the characters or just make it more. Yeah, readyplayer.me. That's what it is. I can't.
Ready Player Die. Ready
Yeah.
Player Me. Integrate a character creator into your game
Can you
or
see
app
it?
in days. Yep.
Am I sharing it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're doing this where you can you make your character or whatever, and they have an API integration into their game where all of a sudden, boom, this thing is in the game with all the normal characteristics. So Redd likes you, so you build out all the moves, and this person can select to bring in their avatar and fight with it. I've never seen that. I'm not a super, informed dude on the fighting scene, but like that'd be dope shit, right? But
Yeah, they do something like that in Street Fighter 6 with the created characters.
okay. All right. Then I don't know what I'm talking about. But
Is the background
like
video
that's
like
exactly what you're talking about, yeah.
There's also an ability to create, like if you were going to shift from the 2D to the 3D, Unreal has a Fortnite studio where you can create your own version of a Fortnite game within Fortnite. So if you look up Unreal Fortnite Studio, and it's all drag and drop, it's really super easy and super fast to develop in. And that would not take you long at all to recreate 15 characters in there. So Unreal Engine, and then Fortnite, if you look for their Fortnite creator.
Well, also, I mean, I feel like April, you're a big solution here. I'm probably signing you up for stuff that you're not able to do, but like there's got to be students who would love to like take his characters and like put them in this, build them with like Unreal Engine or Unity or whatever, and like, I mean, he could sell his characters on here. I mean, this is a platform to buy characters, right? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, selling digital assets, whether it's a mug that everybody who got a role-playing game needs, I've got college kids who do that all the time to help pay their student loans off. Like they create a digital asset, they throw it up on one of the marketplaces, and they get paid every time somebody downloads it for their own game, for their game development.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2D sprite method is definitely a dying art. Like there's not that many fighting games that still do 2D sprites except for maybe Skullgirls. And I don't remember the last time that Skullgirls came out with just like a whole new character. It was like full of 2D sprites. It's not something that most people do nowadays. And even anime has been starting to go more towards like the CGI route for things that are complicated. But one thing I did notice with anime is that they are starting to go back to 2D now. They just simplify a lot of their designs, so there's not nearly as much detail, and you see it a lot in like anime like Naruto, because it's famous for that, where suddenly the animation style completely changes and gets super simple for when they go into a more intense scene. So I definitely feel like the 2D route is still possible, and I have seen a lot of people who are 2D sprite designers and 2D sprite artists that could do it. And I've seen a lot of people who are making their own fighting games using 2D sprites on a 3D background. So it definitely is possible, but they're doing it with things like Unity, and they're doing it with things like Unreal. And those are things that I don't know how to use, and I could learn how to use it, but it would still be the whole situation of having to make these 2D sprites. And with me not being an animator, keeping the sprites consistent and doing all that is very difficult. That's why I would rather someone else take that part off my hand. Like I got the ideas, I got the character designs, I got the story. I was like, I would just want a whole other team of developers to just take care of the rest. Like I don't want to do this myself. It's been years, but it's just to give people, it's just so that people can see the vision. I think it's easier for people to get their hands on the game and try it than for me to try and explain it. Like you'll know exactly what I'm talking about as soon as you get your hands on it. You'll know exactly what I mean. You'll feel it.
I believe you. Like Naruto, one of my favorite scenes is a 2D when like Kurama, the Nine Tails, just like wrecks havoc. That's the most simple design, but it's just so powerful.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Ken's like, what are you talking about, April?
It's like nerves.
It's epic though, Ken. It's epic.
You just don't get it, man.
I love this. I love it. I'm so excited, and I love the 2D aspect. It'll make it more unique. Honestly, the 3D stuff just gets a little like intoxicating after a while, so just kind of like the new Lion King was just, it was like just too much for the little ones. Like it's a real one. But like, I think it's great. And all right. So before we let the audience go, what are the last engagements we want to leave with folks with Redd's great idea and his call to action to help him bring this to the world? Bilal?
No, I got nothing.
Good.
Yeah, no.
April?
Well, I would definitely say just take a look at the Unreal editor for Fortnite, because you can do some really cool 2D stuff in there without, and that consistency is already built in. It's really drag and drop. And just even if you do nothing but do some storyboarding to hand it off to somebody else at a company like 99 Designs, or a company like, Wicked Saints, or one of the other studios that also take on work. There's some minority focused studios that take on work from gamers. That's what, they're in, particularly the ones I know about are in Chicago, but they're everywhere. And I think if you get your ideas down in that format, then it'll be much easier for somebody to help you build it out. But I think you'll find if you start in that space that it is not what it used to be. It's so much easier now with AI and with some of the builds that are happening on the back end, and the assets that are already pre-created, and all of the rigging, all of that stuff that you used to have to do one by one by hand, that's just done. You can say move from A to B and drag a line from A to B, and all of the math happens for you. So I think just taking a look at that would be just a good first start. Also take a look at Axie Infinity and the financial platform that they're using with blockchain gaming. I think that's something to learn about. That might be, maybe a yes or maybe a no for you, but just definitely something to learn about. I would definitely recommend there are some game studios that are in Vietnam that are very affordable, and that if you do want to reach out on that front, that's definitely an opportunity. And then with your anime, I would highly recommend there's a webtoons that you can use to make the anime online. My kung fu teacher is doing that right now. So that's really straightforward, really simple, very 2D, and it's got a whole community of people who watch it and who regularly check in to get the next manga, to get the next, they're digital manga, but it's really, really cool.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I could go on and on for days if you talk about video games and anime. I'm like, that's why you got me right there. But that's where I would start. I would start right there.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's cool. So did you know about some of these, you probably already did, but some of these AI image generators that April was referring to?
Some of the what that she's referring to?
AI image generators, graphic generators.
So I didn't really ever think much about using AI generators for it. As much as it comes across my radar, it was never something that I really took to mind of oh, I should try this one or I should try that one, because there's so many out there. So I am glad that I got some specifics from her that she's seen, tried, and tested, and that work, because everyone seems to have these AI, and some of them are reliable, some of them aren't. So I'm glad that I was pointed in the good direction, because I definitely will give that a try, because it probably will make it a lot easier to do merchandise and storytelling and boarding and stuff like that, because AI just takes all the heavy lifting and makes something quick.
And
Yeah,
you
and
can
there's a
tell it,
bunch.
write me a story. Here's 8 bullet points. Write me a 4-page story. So you can do, there's a lot that you can do with it. And then I just put in the chat, if you could, I don't know if I can share, but webtoons.com en. This will be a good resource for the little manga that you do for the show, whatever show you go to.
Oh, wow.
Are you looking at it?
I am looking at it right now.
Awesome. That's where that oh wow came from then, huh?
Mhm.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think if you start leveraging AI, and you can reach out to me, because I do a pretty good job of keeping pace. They're getting nuts. I have to use Product Hunt just to kind of keep myself abreast of what's popping out there. But you got Crayon, you have Dolly, you have Canva, you have a bunch of these AI image generators that could literally create all of the movements and all of the aspects of the characters and stuff for you pretty quickly. I'm trying right now to upload an image of myself and create an anime version of it. And I was gonna try to throw it up on the screen. but I'm having some. It's the servers are overloaded, so
I can show you my hawk if you want to see my hawk.
Love to see the hawk.
He's really cool. And
Do it.
our dean, our dean of our College of Computing is just fantastic. His name is Lance Fortnow. And we actually just had the mayor of Chicago. But where can I share this screen?
Yeah.
Can I share the screen? Okay. This is what we decided to use to yeah, I'm so excited to share. So definitely AI is the future, and it's a tool, and it's this little hawk. His name is Talon. Lance Fortnow, the dean of our College of Computing, created him to help us really engage with high school students. He's our tutor, our AI tutor. So when high school students have questions on math or algebra or anything else, we let them ask a hawk, and our hawk's name is Talon, and he was drawn in Dolly. Our guy, he doesn't have any artistic skills. He's just good with words, and he told him just what he wanted, and this is the result. So you can get some really cool results out of the AI tools that generate images for you. And actually in game design, a lot of the AI tools are doing, like, you say, give me a background that looks like Colorado, run a road past a river, give me and you can really just talk into being what you want now. It's becoming just like you're on the holodeck at Star Trek.
Pretty cool.
Oh, that's
I'm super
awesome, yeah.
excited.
This picture looks amazing too. I love the colors that it came up with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, no, that's worth looking into for sure. I'm definitely gonna look into that, see what it can do for me.
Definitely. Definitely. And webtoons, like if you look for webtoon designers, there'll be people who can help. 99 Designs, there's a bunch of different sites that have freelance designers. There's a company in Chicago called The Nerdery. They do IT projects, and there's a lot of resources. I could talk your ear off on resources.
Okay, hey, I will love an email full of them. I'll look at every single one.
All right. So if someone wanted to reach out to you or find you to help with this program in your project, where would they go?
So the best place for me would definitely be on my Instagram. It's at Spirits Edge. If you just type it into the search bar, it should be on there. If not at Spirits Edge, then at Spirits Edge Anime Game. That's gonna be the whole handle. And on there is just the best place to go to just engage with the content, see the updates, and I post gameplay regularly. Every time I add a new combo or a new stage or new character, I'm posting it on there just so that people are constantly seeing the game progress. And like I said, the audience is growing every single day, and that's like the best place just to come and support and like and share and comment, and I respond to everything.
Awesome. And folks, if you're listening in, please come to the Warrior Gamer Discord as well. You can find us Warrior Gamer Foundation. Google us, WarriorGMR. You'll be able to find us, and you'll be able to find Redd and his game. So come to the Discord. We're going to socialize his game and solicit some assistance for him because I think this would be an awesome thing to have a lot of people's input on, because the more people and the more fans you have, and that can only help. So other than that, any last rounds before we say farewell?
I always recommend play testers. Get some play testers in there. Throw some events. There's an organization here run by Keisha Howard called Sugar Gamers. All African American women. They love to play. Reach out. I would just say, just be as open and vocal and out there as you can. That's kind of contradictory for us anime folks and game designers, but when you're bringing something new to life, you want to really just share it and take the feedback to heart.
Will do for sure. Yeah, that's what I plan on doing when I get it into the conventions. I want people to be able to try it there, but I definitely will try some local stuff, getting more friends and more people who are like gamers to come out here and try it and just see what the hometown is willing to say about it. It's a good idea.
Awesome. All right. And with that, Appreciate everyone tuning in to the Warrior Gamer Headquarters podcast, and that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Warrior Gamer Headquarters podcast out.